Yosim Entinambiao. Getchamalea. The Creator strongly greets you all, to assist you, and wishes you health, mind, and spirit. My name is Guillermo Quiroga. I'm the director for the Old Pascua Museum and Yaqui Culture Center, Tucson, Arizona. And
Mataquape. My name is Kari Quiballo, and I'm a doctoral student in American and Indian Studies at the University of Arizona. And I've been working on this project for about 2 years. So there we go. Thanks.
Skuxiartic. My name is Ofelia Zepeda, and I am a recent graduate of the School of Information, and I work as a school librarian in the Sunnyside Unified School District now. And I've also been working with Kari on this project for quite a while now. We have another person who is not listed in our program, but she was very helpful, and she's trying to be shy, so I'm putting her on the spot. But Maria. Okay, Maria Cuello, she was helpful with all of what we did. She went to the events and helped a great bit, even though she says she doesn't.
okay, so I want to just give some background before we get into more of the details about the museum. And basically, the museum is an effort by the San Ignacio Yaqui Council, which is a nonprofit organization established probably in the early 70s in the community of Old Pascua. Pascua used to be called Pascua. It wasn't old at the time. It became old when the tribe was recognized, and the reservation community became New Pascua, and Old Pascua became Old Pascua. So that's the name. About 1900s. At the time, of course, our community was became established because of conflicts with Mexican government, and the Yaqui community in Arizona grew exponentially because of efforts to exterminate the tribe in northern Mexico, Sonora, Mexico. Pascua became the community that it is now around 1900s when hundreds moved to that community, and 2 major communities that were established around that time. Guadalupe, which is a few miles away from here, north on I-10, and Pascua, which is now Old Pascua. At the time, we have probably a pretty large community at the time. It eventually shrunk when some of our community moved to the new Pascua, which became now the Pascua Yaqui Reservation. We still have a community in Old Pascua of about 500 tribal members, and still practice our way of life, our ceremonials, etc. The history of the museum was probably established around 1980s when our organization had planned to do something with the collections. They were beginning to amount in our offices and our locations there. We've had a nonprofit. We operated different programs throughout the years. One of the plans, I guess, was to get the museum off the ground, which coincided with also a home that the organization obtained. It was an historic home. It was built in the early 1920s. It is now the only home that exists from that period. The rest have been torn down and been replaced. The house was deeded to the San Ignacio Yaqui Council in 1988, and we use it to house many of our tribal members who came from Sonora to participate with us in our ceremonies during different times of the year. The home eventually, we received a city block grant to restore the house, and in 2012, the house was restored. And it currently is probably the most expensive house in the community. It's $200,000 of work went into restoring the old house. So now it's like I say, it's the top house in the community. At that time, about 2013, the organization said, "Now we have our collections. Who's going to run it?" So I stepped forward to volunteer. I had recently left a job at the university, and I was working at the business school there, and I figured, well, I can, I've run businesses. I've been a business person for a few years, so I can start a museum. It should be easy. Not. You can see some of the pictures of our museum here before it was established. So the collection at the museum had zero in it. You can see it's just empty rooms. Most of the collection went to the hallway of my house, boxes and boxes. And at the time, my wife was saying, "When are we going to get the boxes out of here and set up the museum?" Well, we had a lot of things to do. The completing of the project, getting the final construction of the house, getting the permits, water, gas, everything to get it opened. And we finally opened the museum to the public in October 2nd, 2013. So this is our third year of a brand new museum. At the time, our first visitors were my two granddaughters, and everything, just folding tables and boxes of our photos, archives, artwork, a variety of things. We probably about over 5,000 items, maybe 5,000 photos alone were there, including artwork, original art, regalia, musical instruments, archives, photographs from the past, from the articles about the community over the years. Pascua has been a focus of anthropologists for many years. There are several movies from the 1920s, some culturally sensitive scenes. Sometimes these were done without the permission of the community and for our traditional leaders. And so it became issues over time that we have to take control of our artifacts, of our culture, of our traditions, and our own community. So this was one of the major reasons why our museum was established, to kind of return this information back to the community and have control of it, and also for educational purposes and for restoring and preserving many of these articles and artifacts. Over the years, there's my granddaughters are in empty tables. The first visitors, I call that picture. But over the years, we had to make sure that these things were going to be preserved. And that was one of the first efforts that I started, including also funding. We had no budget. Like I said, this is not a tribally run museum. It's actually run by the community, a nonprofit. And also dealing with policy, establishing new policy, access, new products, new items, ascension, dissension, things like that. Security, just a variety of things. If you've ever started a museum, just a variety of things have to happen. And luckily, I had some contacts at the university. My first visits were to the State Museum, Arizona State Museum, directors and their staff. Next were to the Arizona Historical Society, which I was on the board many years ago. I used to be the director of the Indian Center there for several years. And that led into contacts with the other programs at the university and staff. Martina Dali, instrumental of making contacts with the other programs at the university, and making contacts with the students and graduate students from the Knowledge River. Thank you, Kari. So too many things in my mind. Sometimes I can't remember all the names. So one of the things, like I said, was our collections. And besides the running the museum, was also how to preserve and restore and share this information. So we're at the point where getting all the information, and being able to start to find ways to share these things, it became problematic for one person. And as a volunteer, part-time volunteer, again, I turned to people like Ofelia and Kari, who are here today, and to talk about one of the projects of the museum, which is the community access and I'm sorry, the photographic archives and those things. We also, thanks to the Pascua Yaqui tribe for assisting us in archiving and digitizing these things. We have to process them. Like I said, we had boxes, and you can see boxes somewhere in the photographs here of the photographs that were put into. They were digitized, but yet they were still in envelopes and boxes, thousands of photographs. So it's one of the things we started was how are we going to deal with these, and started planning. One thing was to bring in these ladies here and start deciding how to get these photographs into storage properly. I was able to obtain some grant monies, several, about maybe $30,000 to $40,000 in different programs such as the Southwestern Foundation, the Spicer Foundation, the Museum Assessment Program, the Center for Educational Resources, Culture, Language, and Literature, and the Arizona Humanities Council, several locations. Still looking for grants to deal with these things, but one of the things, again, was to get the supplies to put these into storage. So we have now storage cabinets and display cabinets and the proper methods and ways to store the items and the photographs. So I'm going to turn the mic over to, who's going first? To Kari, who will talk more about the actual process of the community-based preparation of the photographic archives. Kari?
Okay, so I guess the project kind of came to us, like Bill said, from Dr. Dolly at the Arizona State Museum. First, I'd like to say that the American Indian Library Association had never sponsored a university student club before, and it was this was the first time that they had, and they decided to sponsor a club for at the University of Arizona. And I had already graduated with my master's at the time. And Stephen Curley, who's in the back of the room, was very integral in getting that established with the American Indian Library Association. And once he graduated, Ofelia took over as president of that, and I had promised that as a Knowledge River graduate, part of my mentorship would be to kind of support that club. Because as a Knowledge River scholar, after 3 years after your graduation, there's a mentorship program that's supposed to take place. So I was just fulfilling my obligations without somebody requiring me to. So anyways, Ofelia had talked to me about Martina's communication with her about going and talking to Bill about this project, and so we did meet, like he said. We discussed the facts that the boxes were in his house, and how the photographs were in the processing from whatever in the institution had processed the photographs business. And so we had just talked about a processing plan there, a very brief meeting. And then the semester started, and I guess everyone kind of got really busy, and so I kind of took it over as much as I could to keep going while I was still communicating with Ofelia to make sure that I was doing what she wanted me to do and taking the ball and running with it, and still asking her to get as many people as possible that would help me. So I don't know if you can see, me and Ofelia went in first thing after we met with Bill, and we literally, our workspace was on that cement floor that you saw through the photographs. So pretty much we were sitting on the floor going through boxes of photographs, and we inventoried about 4,000 photographs that would need processing. And so we got with Bill and kind of discussed what kinds of materials that he would need to spend the grant money that he had on, and then he would contact us as soon as those materials were there for us to start processing the photographs. So while we were waiting for the materials, me and Ofelia talked to Bill about what it was he really wanted for the community. And so we kind of established what would be considered kind of an abstract idea of post-custodial archiving as well as participatory archiving with the community. So As post-custodial, we see it as Old Pascua is its own smaller community of the Pascua Yaqui tribe. But as you saw with the refurbishing of the home in this smaller community, it was really important for that community to keep these images and these memories on the images in that community. So in a sense, we're defining post-custodial as away from the larger Pascua Yaqui Tribe Museum and just keeping the collection within the community that it exists in this smaller museum. And then the participatory part was, I was really concerned about the processing and what kind of footprint I would leave by processing the photographs. So we established right away how the inventory would be basic. And then we would do community activities in order to make sure that the metadata was only created by the community itself. So at these community activities, basically we kind of went to the seniors center and engaged with the seniors there who were really, really excited about seeing the photographs and really excited about talking to us about them. So I don't know if we have photographs of the papers and stuff.
Well, part of what we're hoping to do.
Okay. Do you want the microphone?
I'm trying to use my teacher voice.
Okay.
Post-custodial archiving and participatory archiving is the fact that you can't just look at this and go, oh, that's a photo, or one of the big points that Kari always made through our discussions was just because they're not like the Curtis photos, that doesn't mean that they're not as important as what the community holds. So, I mean, in the archive we have pictures like this, and most of the time it seems like a lot of times that's what people are interested in. I've been on tours of major national museums, and they're for natives, and these are the kind of pictures they pull out. I'm like, we also appear in color and we smile. So that's just disappointing. So a lot of the photos that we have in ours are a lot of this, because we didn't stop when color photo came out. So people are not as interested in us.
True,
apparently.
true.
And so we need to figure out, where is this? What's so important? Why did all these people come together? And that's always been our focus is we can look at it, and we're not from these communities directly. My tribe's further south, so we know we can't do it, and we could get some context. Oh, we know what that building is, but we still don't know what's important about that. And so part of this whole thing is taking it to the community and telling, no, you tell us, and we take down the notes. And it's something that nobody wants to do, and that's what, again, Kari and I have discussed, is that item level archiving in the age of MPLP, where it's like, oh, what? You have to do that? Yes, we do, because this is how we control what we want to know and what we want to keep going in the future. So that's been the challenge that we've put out there. And Bill has great ideas. He's like, yeah, I want to do this, and I want to have pictures, I want to have rotating things, and it's just getting everything going. That's been our biggest challenge, because it's been about 2 years. So Bill went over the funding really quickly, and he did. Bill can write grants. He's Mr. Modesty, but he's pretty talented. So these are grants that he's actually been able to win. And I'm not technologically savvy enough to splice a movie, so they actually have a movie, and I bet you can share that with you. But he got a lot of things, because I don't know if you noticed some pictures in the beginning. It's a really small space. It's an original house to the community, so there's we do this next to each other. Kari and I, we feel like we go across the room, and she wasn't kidding. And you'll see pictures later on of when we were sitting on the ground, and then that table that Bill and his granddaughter were at, that was our desk. So we did a lot in a little space, and that's to me that's good to know, because that means, well, we can do that, and we weren't full on expert archivists or students
worked for institutions before. We'd never worked for a smaller, like an actual tribe. I had worked at the Center for Creative Photography as an archivist for a year, and at the Heard Museum as an archivist for a year, but I had never actually been in the community, and so it was exciting, and I wanted to make sure that it was done to the best of my ability, even though there was no, like Liz said, I think it's important to understand that when you're working with tribal communities, that item level processing is really what the community wants, and it's time consuming, it's really not affordable, and in most ways you're going to be looking for volunteers and maybe even community members who's willing to volunteer the time to help you process the photographs as well. We would try to go before the museum opened, so we were going from 6:30 to 9:30 in the morning, and she's going to talk about this. This is our fancy light table, so we were processing and we were getting our negatives, and we had no way to really look at the negatives, and so she brought in her daughter's Disney light table, and we were just making use of whatever was possible for us to be able to process these collections, but that's our fancy light table there. Do you want? Oh, so I just wanted to talk about just for a minute. So the how we came to the item level and actually processing the photographs is because when we consulted with Bill, even though the photographs had been digitized, he wanted them to be processed and saved so that they would be accessible to the community in the physical form, as well as maybe given back to the families at some time, or if there's multiple copies. And we were really glad by the time we finished processing the bulk of the photographs, not in the clip books, they're just trapped in time right now, not in the clip books, because when we did go through them, we found that many collections of the different sections of the photographs that I'm calling collections, many of the collections hadn't been fully digitized. And there's many, many photographs in there that weren't digitized by the people who did digitize them based on what they saw was important. So I think it's interesting that even in different areas of the community, that the community members that digitized these photographs were making decisions for the whole community without consulting them by picking and choosing what they thought should be digitized. But now that we've physically processed them, the decisions could be made to have the ones that weren't digitized by the community on their own. So we've kind of opened up for more options for the community to save some more of their memories in multiple formats.
So we actually went through all of the collections and things that we lucked out in the fact that a lot of things were pre-sorted, because a lot of times when you come to an initial collection, you just get like a box and here, surprise, open it, see what it is. And so we were lucky enough that, you know, the people had gone through and digitized it, labeled the envelopes. We had a little bit of an original order to some extent, but it wasn't exact. And again, we also found that there were things lacking. So we just basically started going through mylaring, and then creating a finding aid based on what we saw, and then we compared it against what was already digitized. The hardest thing we had to do, I think, one of the most challenging is coming up with some type of numbering system, just so that we could actually keep track. So like, we know eventually we're going to get to these activities where we go and meet with them. Okay, so how are we going to know which picture they're talking about? And we couldn't use image 529 as the, you know, as our label. So we tried to come up with something that helped. And we also had to realize that any numbering system we came up with couldn't like create conflict with any like the newspaper clippings or any of the artwork. So we just tried to keep it really simple.
It is a temporary number
Yeah.
system too. It's a workable number system. So this is how like item level can get complicated, just from the many processes of the participatory aspect of it. Is we created a number system for the images just for community engagement, just to be able to collect metadata. And then once the whole all of the collections are processed, then a number system will be created in order for it to be accessible by the community.
And then from there, we're hoping we can actually create like a keywords, create some type of taxonomy for that. That way, you know, oh, like Rolanda Latino, you know, okay, you know the pictures with her in it. But again, that's going to take a really long time. So we just labeled them whatever, you know, envelope it came out of. That was one. That was the first one that they gave us, and we tried to stick to as much of their original order as possible. And then we would just label through the pictures. So we just came up with OPPH1, Old Pascua Photo 1, or Collection 1, Photo 1. The other thing is we basically had to stick with basic archival supplies. And I mean, thanks to Bill's grant writing, he was able to get quite a bit of what we needed. And it was basic stuff, boxes, folders, negatives, folders, nothing extravagant. I think the worst thing the most horrendous thing we purchased was that big cabinet, right? And that was the story all on it. And he had an issue, and I understand if you saw how small that place was.
The cabinet was actually purchased to fit all our photograph collection, but I found that it couldn't get it through the door because the doors are too narrow. The door it was supposed to be in one room, but the ended up being in the lobby of the museum because it wouldn't fit through the other door without tearing the whole wall apart. So things like that, you know, you plan things, but they don't always turn out exactly how you want. So
The lobby has a whole new display system in it that includes a metal cabinet.
So what it was highlighting our fancy light table. It was either use that or keep flipping our laptops over. Okay, type this down for me while I use my laptop as a light table. So we needed something else. And see, our supplies are not incredibly, I mean, with Mylar and boxes, that wasn't anything extravagant. And I mean, if you don't have them, you could always use something, at least keep it contained and not really protected.
Yeah, we did try to save. We're terrible. We did try to save Bill money when we would like run across negatives, like when we were going through. I'm like, it's not really a lot here for him to order a whole box of negative sheets. Do we know anyone we could just ask for a pile of them from? So we were thinking of all of our archivist friends who were working in archives at the time and how we could like get some stuff. You know, just a couple of little things that we had to get basic 3x5 Mylars. You know, just we couldn't get multiple sizes of things in multiple different ways. So
A small size and a large size, we had to go through
The plan was to meet with different groups or existing programs, including the youth program, which we never got to because the summer program ended right when we were getting ready when school started. The ladies were also busy, so scheduling was an issue. But we ended up meeting with the senior centers every Monday through Friday. They have a senior breakfast and lunch program. So we have I guess you can call them a captive audience. They're there, but they loved it. We took 2 computers and had set up 2 tables, and we had of course announced to the seniors who were there present. And one of my relatives was the director, so I just asked her permission. Can we do this? Sure. She said, come on in and bring your tables, whatever you need to do. Not a problem. We set up our two computers, and the ladies here have brought in or had printed out a different forms so that each photograph, once we got the individuals to talk or to look at the photographs and identify people in the photographs, then it was easy just to write in who's who, and of course that became popular. There wasn't enough room to stand around after a while. Everybody wanted to participate, and it became a fun thing. The seniors were really happy to do this, and they ended up looking through the photographs and talking. It was a social event for the people, so it became a fun thing. Different people would come and take their turn at the desk, and Maria also was. You see Maria there, and it was all mostly in Spanish. And the language of most of the seniors will all speak Spanish at least, and so they were able to take advantage of somebody who was happy to talk to them and pleasant, and they were able and listen basically. Sometimes the seniors wanted to talk and talk about who they're seeing in the photographs and give you more information than we needed sometimes, like how many relatives and how many kids they have and brothers and sisters, and get deeper into that thing. So you can see an example of one of the sheets, the photo number, the description, who's in the photo, and what they did or what their position was, and if they were in the ceremonial societies or what they were doing in that photograph. So different notes were taken on each of these slips of paper, and then they were, of course, collected, and eventually we'll go back to the photograph and enter that information. More of this, I guess Kari could talk about more how that was all decided and developed.
I'm kind of just going to add about the event. So I think like what Ofelia had mentioned before about these Curtis-esque ethnographic photographs being like what institutions look at as valuable. I think when we did engage with the community at the Seniors Center for the events, it was very apparent that these photographs were just as, if not more, valuable because it was their memories. And so I can say, like, you can think that age puts value on something in a major institution, but I'm going to tell you that memories of any age are valuable to the community. So when Bill was talking about the papers filled out, what was really interesting was this was never the intention that we were going to fill out these papers. It was the intention that we would have stationed screens, and we made the number system and direction pamphlets so that we could just have them look at the photographs and then write it out themselves. But they were so excited to see the memories that they wanted to tell us the memory. They wanted to talk to us about the photographs. And I kept saying, but you can write it down because you know. And they're like, no, you write it down, you write it down. So it was really a wonderful experience to go through the process of doing all this work for a few years and have it really to be able to engage with the community and see how much it really did mean. The value of it was just priceless, and being able to engage and experience that myself after all that work and planning it, and I never would have imagined that my plan would have come to such great things, and what a great experience for everyone. And it was, and then they just consumed the photographs that they went past the ones that me and Ofelia had the time to number. So I was like making up numbers as I was going because they just wanted to keep going and going. And I think we even ended up staying an hour after our time slotted. And they were excited to, like, as soon as we could come back. And Belen is the cook in the senior center, and she was giving us food, like almost like, make sure you come back and we'll keep feeding you. So it was really a wonderful experience to see that work come and see how much it meant to the community. And then in the end, the plan is that the digitized photographs will be connected with the physical photographs and the metadata that we have, and then these will be uploaded into a collection that the community can access. We'll make arrangements for the photographs that we found that hadn't been digitized yet. And then, just like in the spirit of post-custodial archiving, we will leave our plan with the community, and they will continue to add to the metadata and continue to have community engagements. Like Bill had said, we had 3 different community engagement things planned with the youth over the summer, because the parents would be there with the youth and to be able to display the photographs and these were getting canceled. I think a couple of times the community events got canceled, and so we were just putting it off and trying to create new ways that we could engage. And the senior center ended up without a scheduled event. It ended up being just something we could access at any time we had time to. So yeah, it really is really great. So then after they're digitized and everything's caught up, like I said, we'll leave the project with the community. And Bill, as the curator, I see it as that, me and Ofelia and Maria are the archivist, and we will leave the project with the curator with an archival plan, and then the community will continue to add photographs. Those photographs will continue to be digitized, and the metadata will continue to be added as the photographs are acquisitioned. So this will be even easier to keep up with, so they have a plan for when new photographs are added to the collections. And then this will be open for the community to just keep coming and adding at different events when they see the photographs. Somebody who wasn't at the senior center, somebody who wasn't at a youth event can come and add that metadata, and then that'll get added to the digitized collection and exhibition for the community's use. So this is the plan, and it's an ongoing plan. And like I said, we've been working on this for 2.5 years. And like I said, so we're graduate students, so I'm a doctoral student. Ofelia was getting her master's. Maria is still in the process of getting her master's degree. So we really worked hard to fit this into a schedule that it literally had no time to fit it in. So, and we're thankful that Bill was so patient with us, because at some point we're thinking, we know we're working for free, but we know you want it done. And so it was really, we were blessed that he was patient enough to let us work for the community the way that we had seen the best possible outcomes.
Yeah, I want to emphasize how important this process is, this whole, the documentation, the community-based documentation especially. Ofelia showed a picture earlier that comes from the 1920s that probably 6 or 7 generations ago that we no longer know the names of the peoples in that photograph. We would love to know who they are and to get back to identifying that, but that's one maybe lost unless we can actually come up. Many of our elders are leaving us now, and so we need to know how we're going to keep this process going as an important process in our community and for the future. So we know that by preserving these things both digitally and the actual copies of the photographs stored properly, that this is an important way to maintain the history and culture of a community. A community like Pascua, Old Pascua, it's historical. The descendants of these people who of this photograph we showed earlier are still there. And do they know who they're related to in that one photograph? Probably not. Who can they identify them? Possibly no. So if we can find that information, that'd be great. If we can go back to that. But in those days, these photographs were taken by photographers who came in that actual picture that we saw of the ceremonial dancers was taken by a photographer who sold these as postcards. They were sold and not with the permission of the people. So we've gotten copies of these postcards. They came to, I guess, to make some money, and so the people, of course, stood there and in the case it was a form of I guess what's happened over the years that we no longer need to have that happen anymore, and also the community does not allow photographs of our ceremonials since the 1970s because of these problems. So now we have photographs that need to be identified, and we've come up with a process now to do this, and this is what's important for our museum, is to maintain the integrity of the community and the photographs and for the future of our community.
Ofelia had mentioned about some of the conservation things that were going on. So in some ways, this is collaborative in like natives outside of the community working in this other native community, but also it's institution to institution where the Arizona State Museum conservators, who's in the room right now, Teresa Moreno. So we had come across, of course, photographs where somebody had taken them to Walgreens and then just shoved them in the packet and then never took them out. So we were pulling out photographs that were just stuck together. But they were memories. Like I can remember Monica Gaston's birthday and graduation. You know, graduations are so important in Native communities. So it's like high school graduations and elementary graduations, as well as birthday parties that were really important, and they were stuck together. And so when Teresa, the conservator at ASM, had talked to Bill about it, I had asked, could we get off that Disneyland light board? and then find some way to be able to separate these photographs and save pieces of these memories. And so Bill, do you want to talk about WAC just for a minute in your arrangement? Do you have any, can you remember some stuff? I know, but see, this is what's great about community.
Yeah. Yeah, we get as we talk and meet and discuss things, we end up making more connections and associations. And Teresa Moreno from the Arizona State Museum, we are now planning to have a Western Association of Conservators Angels Project will be coming to the museum in November 4th, 5th. And doing taking some of the articles, some photographs. We have some murals, paintings and other items, some textiles, and I'm forgetting the list now. Things that yeah, there's a list of items that we have stored that will be looked at by a group of expert archivists to give us some ideas on how to preserve these things, and possibly even plan to do something with them in the future so we can actually have them preserved. We have a collection of paintings by an artist, Arturo Montoya, which was a prolific painter who painted hundreds of paintings, and actually gave most of them away to people in the community. So I think everybody's got one of his paintings in their home, and we've got 7 of them, and some have been damaged because they were stored improperly, and those are examples. We have a mural done by a very important artist who no longer does art, but he's been a prolific artist. Also, Daniel Leon, his mural is well known. And it's been stored for maybe 20 years now, and we're hoping to get that out of storage and see what needs to be done to preserve it and conserve it. So those are things that are happening that have come on part of this project, the photo project, and hopefully we'll be attracting more assistance to our little museum. Being a startup museum, we were so happy and pleased that people have stepped forward from the community to help us, and we're still hopefully a learning environment for those in the future who would like to come and practice their education. Just like Ofelia and Kari have been working with us, and whoever we can attract would help us out. Because, like I say, until we can actually get on our feet, we're still a fledgling museum without a budget and or staff. So.
Before Ofelia talks about the future plans, I just wanted to say, I think it's really interesting, like how I said about the community participation and how it extends across the community. So I look out into the room, and through the process of our presentation, from the evolution that Bill told you of who he talked to since Dr. Dolly came into the room. So I can tell you that from Bill to ASM's connection with Martina and Teresa, Stephen Curley was in the back, to Ofelia, to me, to Maria. You're literally, it's so wonderful to see so many people in the professions, in many different professions in museums and archives coming together for this one community to do so much. So it's really cool to have everybody in the room and going on to do more things for more communities.